Until now, all the work that we have done in three-dimensional, we did not add a camera. Actually, we did. After Effects did add a camera. The first time you switch a layer to 3D, After Effects added a 50mm camera which is invisible to you and you cannot manipulate. In this lecture, we want to learn how to add cameras. Look at the angle of view, a 2-node or 1-node camera, and the point of interest or the anchor point or the focus anchor point. I like to call it like this. Let's look at the composition that we have. If I select all the layers and press P, we notice that the solid layer is at 0Z and the shape layer 1 is at -25 and the 3D camera text is at -100 and the After Effects is at -50. To see this better, let's switch to two views horizontal. I will take this one out. We need all the space we can get. Then I will move to this panel, make it 100%. Fine. You can see now the Z position in the top view for After Effects, for example, for the black layer, and the 0Z for the solid layer. Let's set our first camera. We click in the composition, go to New Camera. You are presented with a very easy dialog box. Please, it is easy. So the first thing to set the camera is the angle of view. The angle of view determines the distance between the camera and your whole composition. I have turned it into pixel. Usually it opens in millimeters, but then please change it to pixel. Now you notice here we have 1919 or 1920. This is the width of my composition is 1920. I can change that to vertically, it will be 1080. So my composition is 1920 by 1080. What the camera is trying to do is to cover the whole composition using a certain angle. For that, it determines a certain distance. So the camera is looking for this angle. In the preset here, you have very many different cameras. The first one are very wide angle, and that's the one I have used here. And the last one is very narrow angle, is 10 degrees only. Obviously, the zoom here distance is, very big. And the next parameter it's choosing is the 2-node or 1-node camera. 1-node camera does not have an anchor point. In this case, it's called point of interest. A 2-node camera has an anchor point or a point of interest. Point of interest is the point around which the camera will orbit. Let's choose a 15mm camera and click OK. Now, it has put the camera in the layer, and in my top view here, I can now see the camera here. Fine, let's open two parameters from the camera. The P, that's the position, and Shift A, that's the anchor point in normal users, but here it will open the point of interest. First of all, notice the 800 pixels here. It means the distance between the camera to the point of interest is 800 pixels. That's the default, right? You can change that later. And of course, the point of interest is at 0Z, and it's in the middle of the composition. Let's double click on the camera to verify. You notice that this is the angle, 100 degree. The zoom here is 800. This is the zoom distance. And it covers all my composition. You notice? How is it? So it's like pretty easy. There is no mystery in it. Fine, let's cancel this. Cool. Let's create another camera to see the difference. I will go New Camera. Let's take a new camera, the 80mm. Press OK. Let's go to the left view. I think it's better. Yep. You notice that the first camera I put here, I will hide the second camera, is just covering the composition, and it's very near at 800 pixels from the 0Z. If I take the other camera, hide this one, show the other one, the angle is smaller and it's very far. Let's open point and Shift A. It is at -4266 pixels. That's the difference between a wide angle camera and a narrow angle camera. Now let's look at our composition. If I'm looking through the narrow angle, of course the sense of perspective is very small. If I move my camera here, I'm not gonna see things moving, or a sense of perspective very very effective. If I move my small camera, let's hide this one. If I move here, you notice immediately I have a very big sense of perspective for very little movements. That's the difference. So actually, your choice of camera depends on how many pixels you want to move to get an animation. Now, what do we do with the camera? Let's put this one here. Let's make it 100%. Okay, now I have a camera. That's very beautiful. What's the point? The point is like this. Look how the view is changing to my composition, my whole composition. Actually, is not the composition, is only the layers that are 3-dimensional. If the solid layer, I remove the 3D, then it's not changing anymore, nothing moves. So this is the power here where things can be 2D or 3D. Let's put it back to 3-dimension, and you notice how it's moving. So I can do a small animation. Let's do this animation. We come far, and then we zoom in. Cool. Without changing anything in our layers, we only worked on the position of the camera. Look how it's moving. The position are moving here and how it's moving there. So this is all about camera actually. What you want to do is when you're putting a new camera, right click, new camera, is to choose your angle. There you don't have to really to do much. You can just say, okay, I want the 28mm camera, and the angle will change. I will add this one in fact, and now I have a different perspective of things. If I use the last camera, it's here. Let me take it up. Then if I use the last camera, then if I change, there is, the effect is good, not too much, not too little. The change the movement here doesn't have to be much. Now, the last camera or the top camera is the camera that will make your movie, and it is the camera that's going to be rendered. This is all about cameras. This is how to set a camera. And the next thing we want to do is how to animate a camera and get the effects that we were looking for.